Welcome back to We're Open. Today's guests were leaders of a guild for adult members. Let's see what trouble we're getting into. Panders and Adwin, on behalf of Double Trouble, thanks so much for joining us today. Before we dive in, who were each of you as players and in the guild?
When I first started playing Free Realms, it was just recently opened. A lot of people I know just did the wheel, so I entered in. And my very first name was Solaria Moonwater. That didn't last long because I think I was banned for saying a naughty word or something. I was new in game. So I changed it to Pandora Retour. Pandora, like Pandora's box. And Retour means return in French. My friend Sheely Lemonheels that I started the guild with, she started calling me Panders. So it changed to Panders.
In the guild, I was one of the leaders, along with Panders, Kimiko, Foxfeather, and Emperor Kazuki. We kind of all just had our own little ways we went about things. I was more into like playing the game, running the dungeons and kart racing and hanging out and dueling people.
I love your stories. Your guild was one of the oldest active guilds. How did it get started?
When you first started the game, they didn't have guilds as an option. It started a little bit later. Originally, it was just a guild of two, myself and Sheely Lemonheels. Our avatars looked the same. So Double Trouble, like twins. We both were adults and we wanted to be in a guild with other adults.
It was the first adults-only guild. Was there a learning curve to it?
Absolutely. You were not supposed to ask anybody's age, which makes sense. We could kind of tell who was maybe more mature, at least, by their behaviors and how they talk.
We had a lot of issues with retaining members or keeping them active. It wasn't so much of an issue early on in the game. Most of the adult players are going to eat through the content pretty quickly. The game went further and further toward a younger age as far as content was designed.
You eventually created that community and held a lot of events. Can you tell us about that?
Some games will have big dungeon raids or guild battles or something you could do. I was just sitting around like, well, let's just start kart racing, working on the leaderboards. And then we was, well, let's have an event, get other people interested and see who else out there in the game is really good at kart racing. It was kind of hard to do the event though, because our guys were so good that no one could win. And so we had to start letting people win in order for them to win prizes.
That was a great way to utilize a minigame. Panders, your specialty was recruitment. What were your methods?
This picture here, our biggest recruitment, how we started was Kimmy Foxfeather and I were hanging out in Snow Hill. We got up on one of the fences and we just started popping out our boom boxes, which was a new item at the time. And people just started gathering. People would ask about Double Trouble. So that's kind of how we got our name out there. Our leaders were involved in the forums and getting word out. They also worked with the ambassadors.
It's awesome you had relationships with the staff. Adwin, your thing was the forums?
Definitely spent a lot of time on the forums. A lot of it was combat related because that was my favorite part of the game, and I would find bugs and things and post about that. It was a big part of my Free Realms experience for sure.
You were no stranger to the leaderboards either.
I pretty much completed all the content and what I do now. So leaderboards were one thing. I tried to get some of our other guild mates to fill up the leaderboards as well. There was one time on the kart racing leaderboard, almost all the top 10 on every track were Double Trouble guild members.
What an accomplishment. And you made a lot of videos dueling too.
Unfortunately, back then, my computer was absolutely horrible. So my video quality was pretty bad. I planned on making a whole lot of higher quality videos because I got a pretty good computer now.
You were also part of the community assembly team. What was that?
Producer at the time was Steve George. His name was Shock on the Free Realms forums. He started the Free Realms Community Assembly. It was sort of like a secret forum, if you want to call it that, where we could go on there and interact with the Free Realms staff. It was designed to get feedback from the community, from some of the bigger guild members. There's a lot of other people that were well known within the community that were in that group as well. It was really nice to be part of that and get to experience that other side.
Back to Double Trouble. It had a lot of people in charge over the years. Why were there shifts in leadership?
I'd say because we were adults, we all had pretty busy lives working and whatnot. I really wanted the guild to be not just one single leader. As we needed to keep the guild going, we would swap around to just manage the guild. Karen Soldens or Kimmy Foxfeather, Adwin, we were all leaders at various times.
Makes sense. How does it feel to have created a legacy in Free Realms?
It's very weird. My kids were little at the time when I started playing, and now my son is 18, my daughter is 14, and they still remember Free Realms. There were a lot of friendships, and it was a really special time in my life. It's cool to be remembered.
Just really feels good to leave some sort of mark on something that you love so much. It's one of the best games I ever played.
You both truly had an impact. What have you been up to since Free Realms?
Game-wise, I haven't really done a whole lot. I played Perfect World for some time and then Guild Wars 2. Really, in the meanwhile, mostly just been leveling up in real life.
I transferred over to other games, Perfect World, Guild Wars, Atlantica. But then as my kids got older, I've played various games with them. It started with Roblox and Minecraft.
It's great you play games together. And what do you think of Free Realms Sunrise?
I know it's been slow going and everything, but I'm really looking forward to it. And both my kids were hoping to get into the game again.
Well, I think what Mayhem is doing is quite amazing. I kind of know a little bit about this stuff because I have a brother who's worked for Amazon Games on New World. What Mayhem's doing is not easy and pretty amazing that he's doing this for all of us.
Are there any plans for Double Trouble to return?
Yeah, we definitely plan on that. We're going to have a lot more players to choose from.
If they were teenagers or younger people then, well, guess what, guys? It's open to everyone to be in Double Trouble now. Definitely would love to round up our old members and get DT started again.
We'll be looking forward to seeing the evolution of both your characters and the guild. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much, Natalie. It was a lot of fun.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I enjoyed it.
I'd like to thank Panders and Adwin for joining us today. Our next guest was a beta tester and admin to a very big guild. Want to know who? Subscribe and find out.